So we recorded with John Mitchell a few days ago, and he's going to be our first future icon. And pretty excited about future icons. I think what we've identified with athletes is there's a funding gap. There's people coming up. There's loads and loads of really good people with potential, and a lot of them can't get to the next level because they haven't got the money. They haven't got a rich family. I mean, even Amanda Nunes, a couple of weeks ago when we interviewed her, she was saying that she had to sleep in the gym. You know, she only had money to get across town one day a week, so she had to basically live in the gym. Really, what we want to do with future icons is democratize access to get to the next level for these up and coming athletes. John Mitchell is the first one. It's going to come out on the 1st of June. And essentially how it's going to work is people are going to be able to invest in him and share in his success. So he's going to be sharing 5% of all of his earnings from the next 18 months with the people that buy his token. Plus he's going to do loads of other cool stuff, give them access to fight tickets, you know, let them feedback on the music he's going to listen to when he walks into the gym. We think it's a really interesting concept. It's going to help the fighter, but also if this guy becomes the next Conor McGregor, which he could well do, everyone gets to share in that success. So yeah, we think it's a cool thing.
yeah, it's very exciting. It's a very exciting product. And like you said, there are similarities with what Amanda Nunes went through and what John has gone through really to get to the stage that he is now. And I think that the support that future icons can give athletes is quite big. The gap is there. I mean, John was kind of quite inspiring that he chased his dream to become a fighter. And what did he have to do to chase his dream? You know, 18, 19 years old, he had to move to a completely different country, a completely different continent. And that's where he really started kind of honing his skills. But he was living kind of hand to mouth all the time. And so many years have passed now. I think something like future icons can really accelerate an athlete's development overall, definitely. And twinned with the passion that people like John Mitchell have got for his sport that he's shown throughout the years, he's definitely one to watch.
Yeah, and he's just joined the PFL, and the PFL is getting loads and loads of media at the moment. They're making really big moves. And so, you know, during this future icons period, he's got 5 fights. He could well win them all, win a load of prize money, and 5% of that will flow back to the users. John is hard as nails, isn't he? I mean, yeah. He moved to Thailand when he was like 20, just started fighting massive guys over in Thailand. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I think he's got the personality that the media is going to really warm to him once they get to know him from the PFL as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's determined, but he's also kind of down to earth. He's a funny guy as well, isn't he?
He's a funny guy. He's a good character, isn't he? He's definitely a good character.
He's got a great personality, without a doubt. And he is determined that he's going to win PFL Europe immediately this year. That's what's on his sights, to win PFL Europe this year. And it could be next year as well. We've got the utmost confidence in him that, having talked to him a number of occasions and having heard about the training that he does and what he's gone through to get to where he is now, he's not going to fit anyone in his weight division.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a big star, and I think PFL is going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I think he's going to be a big star in it. And he's got massive 5 fights coming up, starting in Berlin, isn't it? Is it in July?
8th of July, Berlin.
July in Berlin. So, you know, anybody who's a token holder of John, you know, we can all get together and watch that fight together and cheer him on. And, you know, if he wins, part of that prize money is going directly to his token holders, which is pretty insane, isn't it?
Very special.
Sweet. Done. Enjoy the podcast. John, great to meet you. Would love to learn about your background and your upbringing and how you got into MMA.
Yep, no problem at all. So like how I actually got into it, I think is quite different to a lot of people. Like I've always competed in sports. So when I was 13, I actually started like Olympic rowing. And that's what I was doing. Like boxing was in my family with my dad and my granddad, but I competed in Olympic rowing to like a very high level. Like I went to the European Championships and the World Championships, and I was like multiple time Irish champion in that. But I always felt the surge that I wanted to fight, and it was definitely something that I maybe was doing outside of the gym, you know what I mean? So I always knew I was good at it anyway. I got back from the World Championships, and then within the next 2 weeks, I completely packed it all up. And I wanted to be realistic with myself that if I want to push to the highest levels of the sport, which my next fight is in, I need to start now. So I used what I learned in rowing, and I started training like 12 times a week out the gap. And I just seemed like absolutely mental because I just got to some random boxing gym and try and be there every day, twice a day, like I did when I was competing in my other sport. And yeah, I was just so used to competition that here I am now, 47 fights later.
47 fights. That's
46, actually. This is the 47.
yeah. And it's like you said, it's a big one, isn't it? It's quite a big one. It's PFL Europe fight. Next one,
Massive. But yeah, it's my first fight in like a major league organization. Like I fought on Cage Warriors and I fought on UAE Warriors, which are like Europe's biggest, Middle East biggest, but now this is one of the world's biggest up in the Big Four. So happy days.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we know the PFL very well. I'm going to try and get over to that fight to Berlin, definitely.
Class, bro.
I mean, so it's kind of like you said, it's kind of stepping up a little bit. Do you kind of approach the training and the preparation for that fight any differently, or do you just consider it I'm training the same as I always have done? It's just another fight.
You see, like sometimes when people use the expression "just another fight," I think you can kind of downplay it. Like every fight is as important to me as the other. Like the last fight was in India, co-main event, and it was a fight that like, oh, I couldn't lose that fight because it would affect me in PFL. But now that it's my first one in PFL, but it feels as important to me now as I did when I had my first amateur fight maybe 8 years ago. You know what I mean? So there's definitely an added layer of intensity, which is like firmly in my mind that every morning I wake up being like, this is my big league. But the constant is that when we get in there, it's just me and another man, which I've done like 46 times before.
And how much are you, just for for kind of the everyday man that doesn't really what goes into these kind of this, how much do you train? How many hours a day are you doing? 7 days a week? What is it? What does your daily life look like?
It's full nose to the grind anyway. So I train like generally 3 hours every day. So, and it's split. I train in the morning and I train in the evening. And then maybe every second day, I will add a weight session as well into that. Split between all the different facets of MMA, for example, like jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, and then my sparring sessions. So it's as intense as you get, like generally 12 to 14 sessions a week.
That's pretty thing. I thought I was hardcore because I go to the gym 5 days a week.
That's tough too.
Got nothing on you, mate. Absolutely walking on.
Treadmill, aren't you?
I was just telling John before you joined, Chris. I didn't tell you earlier. I completely just knackered my back deadlifts this morning in the gym.
Oh, mate. Well, you are in your 40s now, mate. You need to take care of yourself.
It's true, mate. It's true.
So John, what's like the ultimate goal? You know, what's your, do you want to be as big as like Conor McGregor? And then I guess a related question: who is the big inspiration growing up in the sport?
Well, the ultimate goal, the goal right now is to win PFL.
Yeah.
You know, everything's going into that. I've 3 good fights in front of me: win the European Series, progress to the World Series, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm 27 now. One of my good friends, Brendan Loughnane, wondered, I think he's 32, 33. So I've all the time in the world and nothing but time to do it. That's the goal. And then in terms of motivation, you know, I've never really actually looked up to any of the MMA fighters because before you know it, you end up sparring them and they're just guys like me, you know, like sure, I was sparring McGregor, sparring Darren Till, I was sparring Thor the Mountain from Game of Thrones, you know what I mean? So like, yeah. So, but it's just, the motivation is just proven to all, like I've had a very good core group of people since I was competing in the rowing that are still with me now, just proving the people that believe in me right, you know.
Who's been the toughest opponent so far? Be that in a in a live match or in sparring. I mean, surely it's got to be the Mountain, man. I mean, that guy's about 7'2", isn't he?
Yeah, like there was one point I was considering running through his legs. You know what I mean? And like it's only when he's actually standing across the shoe, like, you know, because as a fighter you're gonna anyone, anytime, anywhere. But there was definitely those brief moments when I was standing across looking at him like, why did I do this to myself? Do you know what I mean? There, Joe. And I like Game of Thrones, and I saw him kill the lad in it the night before. So disaster.
Crushed his head, didn't he? Yeah, that was.
He crushed his head. Yeah, I hope he knew. Thank God he knew it was a boxing match. But bro, so my hardest opponent ever is one that flew so under the radar. When I was 20, I was living and fighting in Thailand, and I fought this guy in like a professional Thai boxing fight when I was like 7, nearly 8 years younger than I am now. Alan Antonio Batista. this massive, massive Costa Rican guy, bro. And the way it works in Thailand is you get to the venue and like they don't match you by like you step in the scales. They literally match you by how you look. And when I got there, I was looking around and I was like, oh, well, it's not that guy. That guy's fucking massive. Sorry for saying. I was like, it's anyone else but him. And gradually, we were main event. More and more people started fighting. And this guy was still there and there and there. And it was him anyway. So we had a 5-round war and won a split decision there. But that was my hardest fight. That stayed with me through my entire career.
It's quite a big challenge that you stepped up to there. It was a split decision that you said.
Yeah, I won a split decision, but like this guy had like 25 professional fights, and I was like in the sport 2.5 years. Do you know what I mean?
So yeah, I think that's mad. Absolutely mad.
Mad.
So when you are in the ring, what do you think is your biggest strength as a fighter?
Do you know, I generally think it's my it's my IQ, and another reason PFL suits me is I'm skilled everywhere. Like I'm well rounded everywhere, and I have a master's degree as well. And I think I've kind of nearly taken that approach of what I did preparing for exams, preparing for fights. So like I look at their strengths and weaknesses, I look at my strengths, and then I try to apply it to the situation. And like say I'm 10 weeks out from a fight, so in the 10 weeks, I make a plan and I practice, and then I take the test. You know what I mean? So I think because I've had fights I've knocked lads out, I've had fights I've won by decision, I've had fights that I've submitted guys. So I just pick which tool I'm going to use, and hopefully I pick the right tool. And nearly most of the time I do.
Is that your last fight? Was it Shrikant Sekar? Was that the one?
Captain Crazy anyway was his name. That was the
That was over pretty quickly, wasn't it? That one.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've definitely outgrown that area, haven't you? So PFL Europe is next.
Yeah.
Step.
100%. You know, I was always going that way. When I was in Cage Warriors, I was set in UFC, and then just by the way, that could have been from talking to the people above me. PFL just seemed like a way, way better option. So I always knew I was going to get there. I just wanted the time to be right, and now it is right.
Nice. And it'd be good to talk about future icons a little bit. So what first interested you in the future icons program?
So Rene, like my sponsorship agent, was telling me how good company is and the prospects that the company has, and said something that I definitely want to grow with, because now that I feel I'm going into my breakthrough years, and I feel like this company is there with me at the start. They've shown support now, so I want to like show them back my support as I progress up the leagues.
Yeah, and I think it's a big opportunity. You're going to have 120 people odd who are going to be your big supporters, and you know they're going to be sharing in. If you do well, they'll do well, because you're going to share a little bit of your prize money with these 120 people, along with loads of other utility, aren't you?
Mm.
So you
Exactly.
know, so I think that's a really cool thing. Have you seen the list of utility that we've asked for from Rene? It's like signed merch, stuff up in your dressing room, stuff like that. So hopefully you're going to have like 120 people who are going to be your biggest fan, like retweet everything on social media, tell all their friends about you. And we're speaking to the PFL about you on Friday as well, to see if they'll do some promotion of this future icons drop, because that'll be, you know, if those guys play ball, you see all the followers on their socials, haven't they? They've got like nearly 1 million on Twitter, loads on Instagram. So yeah, we'll see if they're co-promoting it.
100%. And if they don't play ball now, they'll definitely play ball after I finish this lab in 7 weeks. So that ball will be played. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Don't worry.
Absolutely. It'd be good to talk about, you know, that some of the struggles that athletes have got in getting funding. So maybe we'll edit all this in, but maybe I can ask you a question. You know, what have been the struggles to get yourself to this position so far?
Well, man, it's a constant sacrifice. Like anything, there's an opportunity cost. I'm fortunate enough that I live in Dubai, but generally, like, you're not making good money till you get in the PFL, and then you're only making good money once you get past that. Now, the more money you get and the more sponsorship you make, the more you can fully devote yourself to the sport. Problem that a lot of fighters face is you fully want to be in MMA. MMA doesn't pay the bills until far along the line. You know what I mean? And even then, it's only really 10% of fighters can fully live off fighting. So then when you have sponsorship and you have funding, you're able to fully put all your focus into the sport and represent it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
How were you able to kind of survive then when you were fighting and living in Thailand? Was it
Bro,
just hand to mouth, kind of fight by fight?
Yeah.
What was it
Yeah,
like?
yeah, yeah. The situation is different now. Like it's different. But Thailand, yeah, I was 20 years old, just fighting to make money, bro. Like I was living off chicken fried rice and elbowing lads into the head. So you know what I mean?
It's not bad, like.
Yeah, how did
Yeah.
how did that move to Thailand come about then? Because you've got to, you've got to have a certain mentality to think, you know what, I'm 20, I'm going to go to Thailand, I'm going to fight a load of really hard people in absolutely brutal. I've been to a Thai fight; it's absolutely brutal out there, isn't it? So yeah,
Certainly is, bro.
what was the mentality to sort of make that leap and go for it?
I just really, really, really wanted to be a successful professional fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, although I was only there for like 4 or 5 months, I think it was 5 months altogether, it like set me through my whole career, man. Like I've fought really good guys from many belts and good promotions now, and them all the time. No fights were as scary to me as then. So it really instilled mental toughness in me. That's still with me now.
I want to talk about one of your, I think it was kind of 3 fights ago, maybe. So you are Marius Angel, because that's the only L, isn't it? On your professional
In about 5 years, bro. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
But how did how did that affect you at the time? And then how did you because since then you've won everything, including that last knockout in India. So you came back with against Ahmed, I think, after a loss. So how did that affect you? How did you kind of just bounce from that? Is inbuilt resilience from that Thailand or what?
100%, bro. I'm successful more because of the bad times than the good times, especially if you look at my fights, they're a bit crazy and a bit violent, and like that needs to come from somewhere, and it's not from when it's all sunshine and rainbows. Especially for a fight like Marius, the reason it's particularly frustrating is because that fight, sometimes like it's a lot of probability in fist fighting. You know what I mean? Like I've had 22 MMA fights and I'm 18-4. And the only times I ever lost, I got caught in like a quick submission like that. And was frustrating. Say if he beat me on decision, or even if he was winning any bit of the fight besides when he won, it wouldn't have been as frustrating because like the better man won. But I don't think he's better or even close to me. So it was definitely it made me sit down and assess a lot of things. But ultimately very good for me, because in that fight, I think I kind of let the external get to me too much, when all I had to focus on was like doing, what I should have been doing, and I would have smoked him. So after that, I brought in a good sports psychologist, not because I'm ever afraid of fighting, but sometimes I can be kind of too overzealous and too aggressive. And then in my last 2 fights, I had 2 big knockouts and big promotions. The last one bigger than you was in terms of people watching and everything. And I was completely calm. So it was a good thing. It didn't take from me. I'm still in the PFL. It only added to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
How important do you think the sports psychologist has been then? Is this quite common in the sport at the moment? Or is this?
Yeah. I'm sure it is pretty common in the sport, but if it isn't, it should be. Like, we're all fit, we're all strong guys. Say if you're like a PlayStation game and you have your strengths, you're just adding another strength. I go into the fights knowing that like that's something that maybe they're not doing, and I know that my mind is perfectly prepped for the task at hand.
Yeah, nice. And I saw on your Instagram, you're an entrepreneur as well, yeah, as well as being a fighter.
Yeah, we have How I Make Money in Dubai, and I'm lucky that I've a lot of clients here and a lot of great loyal clients. So I coach people here as well. So I fully, and that's done through one of Operation HQ as well,
Nice.
my business. Mm.
And how are you enjoying Dubai? Good fun.
Best, it's a utopia in the sand, brother. It's the best place ever. Sure.
Me and Alexia there in November, we were supposed to fly in and then fly to Qatar for a World Cup game, but they didn't give us the tickets until like start of the game. So we just went down. What was the name of that beach we went to, man? To what name at?
It's at the bottom of the park.
Barasti.
Barasti, yeah, I live across the road.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flat, isn't it? Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. It was definitely good fun.
Yeah.
I got a question, John, about YouTubers.
Yeah.
What do you think about this Nate Diaz and Jake Paul fight? And would you ever fight a YouTuber?
Bro, like people give it a lot of stick, but they're just making good money, aren't they? And ultimately, they're getting more people watching the sport. Like, if someone's hating someone that's making 20 million and he can't even box that well, like that's just jealousy. That's great. He's able to do that. You know what I mean? So it's good. Yeah, it's good. Good for Nate Diaz as well. He's at the end of his career. He gets a massive payout. He's still the man. I like it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you could remove one exercise out of your training schedule, what would that exercise be?
I love it all, bro.
Yeah.
Stretching maybe, but I love it all.
Correct answer, John.
Yeah, yeah. In case my coach is listening.
Nice. And then what can the Future Icons members expect from you in the next 2 years that this deal runs? What's your plans for the next couple of years?
They can expect more big finishes. They can expect more big fights and big promotions. And they can expect me breaking through as one of the most elite fighters in the sport.
I'm sold. I'm sold on.
I'm in, mate. I'm in. I'm all over.
Sell sand to the Arabs.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can tell us about your upcoming fight? You know, without giving anything away or tactics or anything like that, or
Yeah, I'm fighting. I'll butcher his name. A French lad, anyway. And Gayson Dariush, and he's more from a boxing style. His last few fights have been boxing, but it's not boxing. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, although I've 7 professional fights, as I've said, I've 22 MMA fights. So he's in my sport now. And I'm just going to do what I usually do, go out, make a lot of pressure, whether it wants to be with boxing or with wrestling or jiu-jitsu or wherever I choose, and just pick one of the tools in the toolbox. But
Yeah.
you'll have to see the tool on the day, you know?
yeah, cool, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight, definitely.
I've gone through loads of my questions like rapid fire as normal. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, John? Anything else we should you about to help promote you to the Future Icons community and these people that are hopefully going to come in and buy your fan token and help with your funding and sort of stuff?
Just that I want to say thank you to everyone that is going to be with Future Icon helping me in support, and I'm going to show back and then some by winning all these fights and representing them very well. So I think it's exciting for me and for them because we're both about to grow together now. It's like going to be exponential growth these next 2 years. So get on while you can, you know.
It's a great word. Great stuff. Great stuff. And we're gonna do Twitter Spaces as well. I think at some point get some of the community on to ask you questions directly. I think that'll be good.
Perfect.
So I think you're thinking of going to the fight, Alexi, in Berlin.
Yeah, I might do. Yeah, but I might be any issues that I might be moving house around that weekend. If I do move house, then obviously I can't. My wife would be pretty pissed off with me if I.
You'll be all right, mate. It will be just time.
No, yeah, you do that. I'm gonna go to Berlin. But yeah, if it's
Really
not
great.
that weekend, then yeah, I'm gonna head over.
Yeah, if there's
Hey,
any
don't. There's plenty more fights coming up anyway, Alexi. So no problem.
I'm gonna try and make it, mate. Don't you worry.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, John. Look forward to working with you, mate. I think this is going to be really good, and I think you're going to absolutely smash the PFL.
Yes, sir. Thank you, boys.
Forward to working with you.
Absolutely. All right, John. Good luck, mate, in Germany. Speak to you before. You've got us all behind you.
Thanks very much, boys. I'll make you proud. Let's go. Thanks, lads.
Yeah, mate.